Oh, it's just Jord.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's theory video, and today we're going to kick it off with something that Little Nightmares has just tweeted about. It's fresh new pictures of the new levels, and I want to go briefly into detail with these pictures before I go and step into our main theory for today. So let's begin. So the first image that Little Nightmares have shared is one of the boy in the middle of a room surrounded by bookcases, which we can only assume is codenamed the library. Now what's really odd to me in this image, and from what I can see so far without image editing or anything like that, is that the book on the floor is actually half of a mask, and I want to raise the question, is that a potential book key or something along the lines of that? Will you have to find the other half of the book and put them together in a somewhat suited place? Like, as we can see on the bookshelves, there are empty spaces where you can fit certain books inside. So maybe putting a book into a certain place is like a key and it will open a secret door. Now the next picture they shared is actually one that I was really excited about, and the image shows the runaway kid with a torch shining it in front of him, and in the dull light we can see three shadow creatures, or the summoned shadow kids for example, and they're hiding behind the stone statue of the lady. And what is really interesting about this image is that could this be the lady that we know of in the game, but maybe this was a few years in the past? As we can see, the lady looks like it's celebrated in some sense, and the statue seems to have facial features, so it could be the lady before her mask. And what's really odd is her pose. One hand is on her heart and it looks like she's holding something in the other hand. So who's not to say that at one point she was running the more like a nice lady who actually cared for the children, but then something happened and then she turned into something else. And our third and final image is actually of the lady herself, doing her own usual routine of brushing her hair in front of a broken mirror. But what's interesting is the amount of dolls that are beside her. Are these potentially the children that are going to be turned into the summonable creatures, or are these just the number of victims that have been lost in the mall? And another thing to note is actually the key on the side, because right by the key as well, the dress that is on the doll looks like it's to be the dress that was off the girl in the picture with the lady. And also we can see that the key is resting on a pillow, similar to the one that we see at the end of Six's adventure where she picks up the mirror off the pillow. So that's it for the image reveals for the level. So today I actually want to talk about the theory topic. So for this theory, I wanted to take a look at the paragraph that Bandai released the other day, as it's released a whole new set of information that I find very interesting, and this information is amazing. Think about the reason why they would have released it now, a few days before the new DLC. They must have done this because it gives us not enough time to figure out between the community. But I think I already have some information pieced together. Anyway, this is the paragraph as follows. Quote, "You find yourself in a terrible place. The runaway kid is not out of trouble yet, as he enters the lady's private residence, escaping the shadow enemies surrounded by the lady, and solving deadly puzzles will be the only way to survive the luxurious house of dread. Armed only with his flashlight, the kid will have to repel the nightmarish illusions and dodge the traps set in the twisted library. As he goes to meet his fate, the kid will shed light on the darkest secrets of them all. Join us in the residence for the third DLC expansion, Little Nightmares, available on PS4, Xbox One and PC Digital on February 23rd. Be sure to bring your clever wits, children, or you may never leave." End quote. Now, of course, the first thing that we want to theorise about is the shadow enemies, but first we want to think about what I suggested earlier in the video. So let's take the key words from this paragraph, which are as followed: lady's private residence, shadow enemies summoned by the lady, deadly puzzles armed with flashlights, illusions, as he goes to meet his fate, darkest secrets of them all, be sure to bring your clever wits, children, or you may never leave. Now I'm going to break all these down into mini paragraphs and give my thoughts, theories and predictions on them. So to start with, we have the lady's private residence. As I mentioned in my last video, the fact that the lady has another part of the mall as her actual home rather than the lady's quarters suggests to me that she's hiding something much bigger than herself or the moor. Perhaps it's not too far-fetched to assume with this information that the room could potentially reveal the lady and her possible identity, or the identity of someone or something not on the moor, for example, Dr. No or the North Wind. So for the next topic, shadow enemies summoned by the lady. Now the shadow enemies are a whole nother thing. I have so many questions about them, but the main thing that I want to address is, how are they made, or what are they made of? Is this the skill that Six was developing in the base game as it grew stronger with each time that she ate? And also, why only there? Now I wanted to address the why only there first because this is potentially more exciting than any other theory in this video. So ask yourself, if these could protect the lady, then why didn't she use them on the Six and the lady fight? Why is it so important that the shadow creatures are needed to stay in the residence, even if the summoner's life is in danger? To me, that is a massive indication of what I mentioned earlier, as there is some secrets of the moor that is bigger than the overseer. As for what they're made from, I think it's safe to assume that they are made from harvested souls that the lady has collected over her time, but I think we'll have to wait for the release to see what happens there. And on to our next topic, deadly puzzles and twisted traps. So why I mention this is, why so much preparation? Like I mentioned again, there must be something big hiding in this private residence for them to set up traps, puzzles and the shadow creatures. And for our next keyword or key sentence, armed with a flashlight. I feel like they're saying this because you're going to be using the flashlight as some sort of weapon, as I don't believe these shadow creatures are going to be able to thrive in light. For example, if Six does have the same power as the lady, whenever that shadow figure appeared, light would somehow flicker out and it would become dark with no light source. So it's going to be, the light is a definite enemy to the summoned creatures. After all, the best secrets are always kept in the dark. And for our next topic, I've got down illusion, or keyword. When I read this, I was a little bit confused, as I didn't actually think it fitted with the paragraph, so I wondered how it could be even played a part. Well, my first thought was it must have something to do with the illusion of mirrors from the comics, and how they gave the illusion of making the user look like something they're not. Take a look at the comic, for example, or are the shadow enemies illusions? And for our next key sentence, as he goes to meet his fate. Now for me, I've always believed that the whole DLC is going to end with the death of the runaway kid, and I think it's just another play on them trying to tease you into switching ideas. I would love the idea of the runaway kid to survive, but I just don't think it will tie in with Six's story. But then again, miracles have happened and Little Nightmares have changed things up before, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. So for the last keyword sentence I've got, it's be sure to bring your clever wits, children, or you may never leave. To me, this suggests that only the strongest of the moor can survive, or no one has never survived this endurance. And also, why just the mention of children? Are kids the only people / things to ever dare go into this area? Why not staff? Or are the staff aware of this room? You may never leave, for me, is another nod to how dangerous that this place is just going to be, and it will take a miracle for the boy to survive. But with that being said, it may be possible, as I believe the fight between Six and the lady will take place at the same time the runaway kid has a face-off with the shadow enemies. And what I think may happen is that when Six kills the lady, the shadow enemies will disappear, as the original caster summoner has been destroyed, and if they are tied to her soul or being, then they will disappear with her. But anyway, guys and gals, that was today's video. If you liked it, please drop a like, and if you wanted to subscribe, please hit subscribe, it'll support the channel. And remember, if you've got your own theory or any ideas about this video or anything in particular, make sure to comment below. We can all have a good chin wag about it. It'd be great. Also, don't forget, guys, that the live stream will be happening in a few days or so. So if you are subscribed, make sure you hit that bell button to get notified, because when it comes out, I will be live streaming it. Also, don't forget, everyone, that the live stream is going to feature a giveaway or giveaways of some sort. So be sure to stick around and check it out. And I think I will see you all in the next theory video and live stream, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.